The Old Pros is a theater and educational group that works to bring quality, emphasis on quality, musicals and theater productions to the folks here in Laguna Woods Village. And I want to welcome Old Pros themselves, Carol Glenn and David Deering. Thank you for coming.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having us, of course.
So expand a little bit about what Old Pros is all about.
Old Pros is a theater group that was formed in 2004 by a group of people who wanted to bring quality theater to Laguna Woods Village, and we've done many shows. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Dracula, and just excited to be in Laguna Woods and have an opportunity to bring good theater.
Now, Carol, when we say the quality, I mean, I work over at Santa Ana College also, and they have a theater program where they teach technique, they teach voice diction. Is that what we're talking about in terms of quality, or just trying to make sure you kind of really elevate the level of performance?
We have done classes in the past. Currently, the pandemic threw a lot of our programs off. At this point, we're mainly doing productions locally at Clubhouse 7, and we do a monthly production there, which we go into rehearsal about 2 months before. It will be scenes like the most recent one was a scene, the poker scene from The Odd Couple. Prior to that, we did a segment where it was Lewis, Carol, and Alice in Wonderland, and it was an introduction to people about the character Lewis Carroll, the real person, mixed in with the fantasy of some of his productions. So we work with the people who come in, and I need a few more directors. I'm the current president of the Old Pros, so some of that stuff falls on me, but thank God David was almost one of the very original founders.
Yes, I came in 2006.
Now, can anybody kind of come in, join? Do you have to have a theater background to do this?
Absolutely not. In fact, we encourage people who do not have theater backgrounds to join us. And we encourage people who may not be interested in acting per se, get involved in directing or maybe stage designs, lots and lots of opportunities behind the scenes.
Costume, makeup.
So if somebody has that experience, audio, production, lighting, things like that.
Right. We welcome absolutely anyone.
And I will say, as far as the acting goes, that people who may not have had the experience find out they may have a talent for it that they didn't realize they had. And that's the exciting part, is to come find someone and all of a sudden they open up and it's something they didn't know they could do, but they can.
Well, David, that sounds like maybe you, right? I mean, here you are involved, and you didn't do this before. You did a little high school, I understand?
I was involved in theater in my high school.
Okay.
And I did some community theater before I moved to Laguna Woods. And I came and I auditioned from New York, and the director said, "Can you give me a good New York accent, like maybe you're a criminal?" I said, "Yeah, I can give you my best New York accent." And they said, "You're hard."
Yeah, so it's a rigorous process, obviously. You guys got some great stuff coming up. 4 Kings and a Queen. You've performed this before, and you're going to be doing it a couple more times for us. Tell us a little bit about what that play, that presentation is all about.
Well, we did it at the Renaissance Fair, and we love doing Shakespeare. David brought Shakespeare really into our community several years back, doing A Midsummer's Night Dream. And one of the segments that we have in 4 Kings and a Queen, which will be running at the Lutheran Church next week, and then at our monthly event on June 21st at Clubhouse 7, the scene with Titania and Bottom. It's a delightful, funny scene, and there is one of those wonderful examples where I called Roxanne Kind, who runs the Emeritus show, and the classes, and said, "I need a bottom." The person I was hoping to do wasn't available. So she sent me over this young man, well, he's, in our community, he's young. And it turns out he has talent, and he can sing, and he's a comic, and it was just a delightful, happy surprise.
That's fun little discoveries. Now, when you say Shakespeare, some people might go, okay, not for me. I mean, they read it in high school, and that was the last time they ever wanted to do it. And they go and see the more popular shows on Broadway, maybe, but not the Shakespeare stuff. So, David, you're a history teacher. You're a teacher. How do you make Shakespeare accessible and fun?
Shakespeare appears in my life every day, whether it's a question on Jeopardy, something on MASH. There's some Shakespeare every day because he wrote for the ages, okay? And admittedly, the language is difficult to understand sometimes. I'm doing the opening scene from Richard III. Took me 2 months to memorize it. But it's just wonderful about how that character comes out in what Shakespeare has written. And he wrote histories and tragedies and comedies, 36 plays, 154 sonnets, and he's in our lives.
Right. And a lot of people don't realize that, I think, right? And a lot of people don't realize the influence and the carry forward that it's happened when you see, a Romeo and Juliet type movie today where they have the parents and you go, oh, that's based on Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Or, the last line of the Maltese Falcon,
Right.
is a famously, Prospero says that line.
Prospero says, yeah.
And so, you won't realize how it's still so much part of our world today.
Right. And as I said, admittedly, he's a little difficult to understand,
Right.
But he can be understood.
Okay. That's very important because sometimes the language has changed, but as an actor, if you're conveying the thought behind those words, the audience gets it and it is clear enough. There may be an obscure reference, a noun of something that you're not sure of, but you get the thought.
Right, right. Well, and the funny thing is I told my kids, High School Musical that you guys loved is Romeo and Juliet.
That's
you guys
right.
Get that, right? You have the two feuding, the jocks and the nerd,
exactly,
and the whole thing, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "I'm here to tell you."
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you know the path, you understand. Then you can find it much more easily if you kind of have an understanding, right?
If you have a background for it, sure.
Right. So, what would you say some of the more interesting facts about Richard III? I know you came here for some facts. Let's hear some.
Richard III was a real character, okay? And if I'm portraying a character, I like to find out as much as I can about whom I'm playing. Richard III was very much maligned by Shakespeare, and history has proven that he was not the usurper, okay, and the murderer that Shakespeare made him out to be. In fact, in my research, I found that his remains were found in 2012 in Leicester, buried underneath a car park.
Oh, really?
In a
That seems like a
parking garage.
misplaced
Yes.
thing. Somebody moved a headstone.
And with DNA now, it was clearly Richard III. Okay,
Wow.
and he was maybe a hunchback, maybe not, but he definitely had severe scoliosis, which the pictures from the exhumation clearly proved.
Okay, before we go, we're going to wrap it up here, but one more time, where are we going to be able to see four kings and a queen?
A couple different places. I'm not sure what the admission policy is for the Lutheran Church.
Well, that is pretty much for the lunch group there at the church, but it will be. We've been doing several productions for them for this last year, and it's a wonderful place because rather than doing it once and the show is over, this way we have a chance to give the actors several times to perform.
That's wonderful.
But the important thing is for the old pros and for everybody in Laguna Woods to hit Clubhouse 7, June 21st. Doors open at 6. Show goes up at 6:30, and it is a treat. You get
We've got it.
songs
It's up
and
on the
sonnets.
screen. It's
Yeah,
going to
there
be a
it
fun
is.
show.
Thank you.
We've got
Thank
it up
you.
there for you guys.
Thank you.
Old Pros, Carol and David, thank you very much for joining us today.
Michael,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you so much.
Thank you.
Michael.
And hey, the show goes on. The Old Pros are leaving, but the show goes on. And like I promised, Lisa Hart's going to be coming back with Dr. Joseph Barrera from Providence Mission Hospital. Stay with us.